You're standing in a field in Kansas. The wind suddenly dies. The sky darkens. Then a funnel begins reaching down from the clouds. Here's the strange part. This exact scene plays out in America more than anywhere else on Earth. And not by a little, by a landslide. The United States gets around 1,200 tornadoes a year. Add up every tornado in Canada, Europe, and Australia combined, and the US still wins easily. So what is it about this one country that turns the sky into a war zone every spring? It's not bad luck. It's not some curse. It's geography. Cold, simple, brutal geography. Picture the map. To the west, the Rocky Mountains rise up and shove cold, dry air east across the plains. To the south, the Gulf of Mexico sits there, warm and wide open, pumping moist air north with nothing to stop it. No mountain range, no forest, just flat land mile after mile, letting that warm air roll straight up into the middle of the country. And in the middle, those two air masses collide, cold and dry, warm and wet. They slam into each other over Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska. The collision creates instability. Instability creates rotation. Rotation, under the right storm, becomes a tornado. You've heard this area called Tornado Alley. Farmers knew it 100 years before scientists gave it a name. But here's the question that actually stumped researchers for decades. If it's just geography, why doesn't this happen everywhere with similar geography? Because it should. South America has its own version of this setup. The Andes Mountains play the role of the Rockies. The Amazon plays the role of the Gulf, pumping out warm, moist air. Cold air, warm air, flat land in between. On paper, it's almost the same recipe. But South America barely gets any tornadoes. A tenth of what the US sees, maybe less. For years, nobody could fully explain why. Then a researcher named Funing Lee, working out of MIT, decided to actually model it. Not guess, model it. He and his team ran simulations comparing the land and atmosphere interactions of both continents, piece by piece. And they found something nobody expected. The difference wasn't just temperature or moisture, it was texture, the literal roughness of the land upwind. In South America, the terrain feeding into that collision zone is bumpier, more forested, more broken up. In the US, the wind gets a running start. It flows for hundreds of miles over dead flat farmland and unbroken plains before it ever hits that collision point. Smooth air holds its energy. Rough air loses it. So, the very thing that makes the Great Plains look boring on a road trip is the same thing loading the gun. Now here's where it gets personal, because for most of American history, nobody saw these storms coming. Not really. Weather forecasters in the early 1900s were actually discouraged from even using the word tornado in a public forecast. The fear was simple. If you warn people and nothing happens, they stop believing you. So silence became the policy. People just had to watch the sky and hope. That changed in March of 1948 and almost by accident. At Tinker Air Force Base in Oklahoma, a tornado tore through and wrecked millions of dollars in aircraft. Two Air Force meteorologists, Major Ernest Fawbush and Captain Robert Miller, got called into a room and basically ordered to make sure it never happened again. No pressure. 5 days later, the same ugly weather pattern started building. Same setup, same feeling in the air. Fawbush and Miller looked at their data, looked at each other, and made a call nobody had ever officially made before. They issued a tornado forecast. A real one, with a location and a time window. A few hours later, a tornado hit the base again, almost exactly where they said it would. This time, planes were in hangars, doors were shut. The damage was still real, but the panic wasn't. That one forecast is the reason tornado warnings exist today. It's the reason your phone screams at you before a storm instead of after. So when a tornado siren goes off near you now, that sound has a direct line back to two guys in Oklahoma making an educated guess under pressure in 1948. But warnings only buy you minutes. The real reason this keeps happening year after year, storm after storm, is written into the land itself. Every time cold Canadian air pushes south and warm Gulf air pushes north, the stage resets. The mountains funnel, the Gulf fuels, the flat plains let it all build speed with nothing in the way to slow it down. It's not random. It's not a curse. It's just what happens when a smooth, wide open piece of land sits directly between a mountain range and a warm ocean. Generation after generation, spring after spring. So next time you're standing under a sky that turns that strange, wrong shade of green, remember what's actually happening above you. It's not the sky reaching down for you. It's 100 million years of geography finally cashing its check.
Don't forget to subscribe.